Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the RuneQuest rules by Chaosium Incorporated. This actual play is performed by adults and in an adult setting. Strong language, mature scenes, and rune magics are on the way. As this is our Glorantha, we will remind listeners that it may vary from the one you already know and love. And now, on to the show. Thank you for joining us again on another episode of the Old Ways Podcast. I am your storyteller this evening, Michael Diamond. My pronouns are he, him, and we are back with Season 2 of RuneQuest on the Old Ways Podcast as we take our adventure into Dragon Pass. I want to thank you, the listener, and thank you, the Patreon supporter, and all the folks out there who gave us such wonderful feedback and asked that we continue to play more RuneQuest, and so we are happy to oblige. And so we're going to get to character introductions and player introductions shortly. But before we do that, I want to let you know that you can find us on YouTube and find us on Twitch at twitch.tv/theoldwaystwitch. And join us on our Discord and join the RuneQuest community and fans there for even more fun. And so now I will turn to my right and ask my players to introduce themselves to you.
Greetings and well met, everyone. Again, I am Heather, known as Valley Girl Heather. My pronouns are she, her, and I play Lysana of the Haraborn, healer and midwife and initiate of the Blessed Earth Mother Ernalda. All honor and praise to the blood that binds us, the ancestors that guide us, and the earth that keeps us.
Fabulous. Welcome back. And to Lysana's right.
Hello, this is Jake playing Varghast, Initiate of Orlanth and Shad the Rainbow Worm, and one of the last free Haraborn. This war is far from over.
Indeed it is. And next to Varghast.
Hi, this is James, and I'll be playing Finn of the River. And, I don't know about the war, but I definitely see rocky times ahead for us, and I look forward to that.
As do I. And next to James.
This is Morgan, and I play Alara of what is now formerly Hillbase Stead. Our pronouns are she, her, and Alara is a devout cultist of Marangor, the goddess of earthquakes and quake beasts. And Alara is really angry at the Lunars and is hoping to perhaps maybe have one or two meet her bow this season.
I think you might get your opportunity, Alara. We'll see what happens. And last but most certainly not least, the first time with us as a troop.
Hi, this is Rena. My pronouns are they, them, and I will be playing Faisal, any and all pronouns, initiate of Humacht and of Heller, and currently of Johnstown.
Currently, yes. So we are going to look in on the Vale, or what is left of it, as our Haraborn have made their way off the main portion of the mountain. We're picking up in media res, basically immediately after the events of the Battle of the Vale. And they have a Lunar Priestess in bindings, and they are walking that priestess away and likely headed somewhere. And as I posed to the players before game a little earlier, I'd like to know where they're planning on going exactly.
I believe that we have agreed to travel to Boldholm.
Into the city to see what we could see and also potentially find a new direction and see what we're going to do with this prisoner.
Finn's doing what he always does, following the wind.
Yeah, so to give a little bit more narrative on where you're on a side of the mountain. You have the Lunar Priestess. Basically, she's basically beaten into submission. She's been bound. She's been gagged, if memory serves correctly, so that she can't talk or potentially use any sort of spell work on you. Her forces were completely and totally shattered, in part to some spell work, in part to just plain old, good old-fashioned martial combat. You don't see a ton of movement down in the Vale itself. All you see that rises out of the Vale at this point is smoke.
Well, I see no reason to go down to the Vale. Even if we won, we'll have to withdraw.
I think heading towards Boldholm to maybe get some of our people back would be beneficial.
I really try not to look back. I don't want to see that. It's not going to do us any good to look backwards.
Boldholm. Going to be the nearest place with something to drink, a nice soft bed, and our people. So I definitely think Boldholm is probably our best bet. So, anybody happen to know? Finn kind of points 2 or 3 directions. Which way it is?
Southeast.
Yeah, isn't it about a day and a half southeast?
Yeah, it's not southeast. So technically from where the Vale is you'll have, it's between the Vale is between the Kivin and Cragradius mountains. And so you'll actually have to go around one of the mountains, right? And you'll have to go southeast and then loop back north to get to Boldholm, because really the only other way would be to go through some stretches of land which are not very safe. So you'd know that. You'd also know that there's likely an inn along the way that you could travel to and probably find board. But if there are lunar scouts on the road, or if you encounter people, you have a prisoner right now, and that could get real sticky.
I would say we try to avoid inns, maybe camp outside.
Yeah, probably be for the best. I'd also rather not meet the returning army on the road.
Oh, Vargas, where's your sense of adventure?
I think we've adventured enough for at least the next day.
Let's get as far away as we can. We'll push it until we can't. We think we're at least in a relatively safe spot. Stay off of the main roads. I mean, we've grown up in these areas. We should know them pretty well.
Yeah, so I would say that I'd be happy to give Finn and maybe I'm going to say Lysana a skill roll based on this question, because I think the two of you are probably the most either well-traveled or you probably hear the most tales about where things are at. I don't think that you're numb to the idea of where Boldholm is in general, right? You could certainly roll Sardarite Homeland Lore if you have Homeland Lore Sartar. You could also likely roll, I mean, if you're really pushing it, you could probably make some sort of passion roll for it, like, you know, because you love your homeland so much, you know all about it. I'm pretty flexible when it comes to that sort of stuff. But yeah, so those are probably the knowledges that would fit Homeland Lore.
Homeland Lore own?
Yeah.
Okay. And you know what? With Lysana's passion for the Feathered Horse Queen and her grandmother and the adventure, and of course her uncle, who has been coming in and out, she's probably heard quite a bit of the stories and the tales, because she's always she loves sitting around and listening to him talk until her mother chases her off. So yeah, so I'm going to pull all that together and everything that she knows and has in her head.
Sure.
62 over 40 for Finn.
Okay.
This is not something he's heard of before.
You pull a scarecrow.
That he can remember.
Cross your arms. So I'd say that if you're going to call on a passion, certainly Earth Rune is probably the most qualified for it. You would call on that. You would make a passions roll and then try to add based on a successful passion roll. Successful passion roll will give you 20% to the skill that you're trying to use.
Okay. So that is a 27 under 65 for the passion roll.
Okay. Yep.
So
20% to your homeland own.
So that would bring that to 50%. And 50-50 shot. And that is a 4. Thank you.
Hang on a second there. That is a darn good roll, and I want to potentially award you for making a really good roll. Because, well, who doesn't like to be rewarded when they do good? So, you think long and hard, And then you sort of dig your toes into the proverbial grasses here, and you connect with the Earth Mother, and you feel her plight. You feel her pain at seeing so many of her children pass on. For while she is happy that they will complete new cycles, she mourns for the loss of any of her and all of her children. And so she wishes you to get to safety. And in doing so, she points the way. And you come out of this almost reverie a few moments later with your hands clasped together, pointing in a specific direction, like a dowsing rod. And you know beyond a shadow of a doubt that Boldholm is that way.
There. That direction. We follow that. And I look up into the sky. I'm guessing at this point it's maybe starting to get dark if we pushed far enough into the evening.
Oh, certainly.
And I look up to find the brightest star in that direction.
Certainly. So that's probably part of Orlanth's stars that make up the sky where Orlanth is.
The mother wishes us to safety. And Orlanth guides the way. And I kind of bring my finger up and I point down. We go that way. At night, we follow the star. And Mother and the Father will bring us there. She does not want to lose any more of us. Pain. And we cannot focus on that now. There will be time to mourn when we are safe. Or at least safer than we are now.
Then let us travel.
So I want to know, perhaps just for accounting purposes, who is keeping a hold on the Lunar Priestess while you walk?
I am.
Okay. So
I'm right behind you, though, too.
with a knife ready to slit throats, I'm sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Actually, just so we're clear, you've taken her prisoner, and so it would be exceedingly dishonorable if something happened to her. It would be a painful mark against you, and you know that.
Mm-hmm.
I would never do that. I would never harm, but I do shove her along with.
Oh, well, that's different.
With Vargas. Like, hurry up.
She certainly labors under your strength. You're clearly stronger and larger than she is, and so you don't have to feel bad about her position. She made a choice, and it was the wrong choice. She messed with the wrong people, and she's going to be taught a lesson, and hopefully one which turns it into a very lucrative lesson for you.
Indeed.
You can only imagine what she might be worth. You are all traveling in the later evening at this point. It's grown dark, and you've made probably more than an hour's journey. And you're passing through, I wouldn't say like the front end of where the veil starts at, but you're going to have to cross its face, the entrance, at least somewhat, to get where you want to go directionally. I wonder how careful you're being.
Oh, we're going to be very careful.
Okay. Are you taking precautions to attempt to conceal yourself?
Yeah, as best we can.
Okay. I'm not going to make anybody roll for anything. You have the cover of, late evening. So, and right now there isn't anybody trying to find you as far as you know, but that's your stance. And we'll sort of leave you there traveling, the five of you, including the priestess, of course. And I will turn to Faisal, who has very, very recently come upon something interesting. So, Faisal, coming upon the campsite as you did, the series of steads, which has been just, wiped off the face of the earth. It is as if in many of them that someone's heavy plow completely just wiped clean what was here. They leave evidence, of course, lunar activity and Sardarite activity. And when the two meet, generally this is what happens. But after feeling, and not only seeing, but feeling the old woman pass, you know that there are evidence anyway of people who did survive. And so I wonder what Faisal's choice is at this point.
Well, I know that the person I'm looking for is still alive, according to the old woman, and that he was taken prisoner, taken away. So my next step would be to follow in the direction of where he would be taken.
Okay. So you track.
Mm-hmm.
Probably through the early evening into the dark. You climb. You end up climbing and climbing. It's something that you had to do to get here. But you continue to go up until you find a battle that took place on top of an immense hill, carved into the mountains. It's what was once filled with old growth forest, far older than that of the lower portion of the Vale. And in the center, you see an enormous oak that was at one point bigger around than you are tall. And you see that it was sundered by a bolt of lightning. And the entirety of its center has cracked in half, and the sides are burned with the residue of whatever power was unleashed here. And there's a battle. Blood. You see dead lunar soldiers who've been stripped of their armor. You see an enormous and deep hole in the ground that seems to have just appeared. And you see tracks, footsteps. Someone was here, and they haven't been gone long.
I'm going to follow those tracks because the dead bodies I see here are lunar. I don't see any other dead bodies of people I would assume might be friendlies, so I'm cautiously assuming that perhaps some of the Haraborn escaped this battle and are heading in that direction, so I'm going to follow them.
Okay. I wonder, at your pace, how fast do you think Faisal would go?
Think as quickly as they can.
Okay. That makes sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
So...
time is of the essence in this situation.
It does seem to be. The person who has requested you to do this seemed to have a need.
Mm-hmm.
So that to me sounds like it is going to be a roll for tracking.
Oh boy. I got base and tracks, so.
You could attempt to be, inspired by your, runes.
So could I argue that my honor passion would apply here? Because I am following a contract, essentially?
Yeah, certainly. Certainly.
Okay. So I will roll against that. Okay, and that is a natural 1.
Ooh, nice. Okay. So, let's
That's
talk
auspicious.
about a 1 will be obviously a critical success. So you are going to add 50% to the chosen ability for the appropriate duration determined by your game master.
Ooh.
I will say that the duration will be up to, on a critical success, up to an hour.
Okay.
So you can make that track roll with a 50% bonus.
Okay, so I now have 55 in track for this.
Yep.
And that is a 26.
Okay. So a successful roll. Yeah, absolutely. So you get a sense. In fact, you get more than a sense. You start to feel yourself walk a path and then break into a light jog and then a steady paced jog. Not a run, but a steady paced jog, one that you can keep. And you feel honor guiding your path. It's truly the only way to say it. You're not even looking where you're going anymore. You're feeling something has happened to them. And because something has happened to them, something in this space, an honorable thing was done. And it's almost like a scent marker for your passion. And you hustle. And you find yourself 20 minutes later outside off the main portion of the hills and the mountain, and then running through open grasslands, carving a path, and then just as if you knew the way they had already gone, you fall into the high grass that is, still left from the previous season. It's still it's still very early in the year, and so it hasn't grown, but the dead grass that's here provides some, probably, knee cover, whatnot. And you can see a grouping of trees, and you see that trail in your memory go towards that tree, those groupings of trees. So because I think it would be fun, and we're about maximum game fun here, I would like our Haraborn to roll listen. Because the one thing Faisal is doing is hustling, and that's not a quiet activity.
That's a 46 over 25.
Okay.
I have a 5 under 40.
Okay.
26 under 40.
Okay.
I have a 52 over 50.
Okay. So I think I'll say that, Lysana, you are preoccupied with being a dowsing rod. You are showing the way. You are keeping their steps on the firm path. That is your job in this regard. Elara, you are fervently watching this Lunar Priestess and making sure that she does not attempt any sort of funny business, especially now that the sun is down and that the moon is up, and you're sure that she's going to try to pull something. All the rest of you, Vargas, you especially, you hear someone running behind you. You hear a presence. You hear the swish of the grasses. You hear the footfalls that are coming up behind you. Probably hear it 100 feet before this person arrives.
Someone's coming.
Is that what that is? He drops to one. Finn drops into the darkness on one side of the path.
I raise my bow. What? Where? Where did you hear something?
Behind us.
I swing around and prepare to shoot at whatever comes out. Ooh, is our cat with me?
Our cat is with you, you bet.
Okay.
I get close to the priestess and I look at her eye to eye. Not a word or you will end here.
She doesn't say anything. She looks at the ground. Faisal, very quickly, you clear the 100 yards probably and cut it down in half. It is relatively dark out. There is no light because I don't imagine the Haraborn are using torches.
No.
So you see a group of people, or what you believe is a group of people, and it looks like a couple of them have taken, I'll just say, martial poses. You can't really tell, given the light, what they're doing, but this group has certainly stopped.
I slow down so I don't go running headfirst into an arrow or a sword or anything of the sort. That would not be a pleasant way to end my day.
Identify yourself.
My name's Faisal of Johnstown.
Well, that answers that.
You asked.
What are you doing out here?
Looking for someone.
Well, you found someone.
Few someones, appears. I don't think any of you are the one I'm looking for. Although if you're from the Vale up there, I'm very sorry.
We were. What's the name of the person you're looking for?
Gordengar?
Never heard of him. Could you describe the fellow?
Mike, how much of a description was I given?
I would say that you probably have a rough description of Gordengar. He's a large man, blonde hair. He wears a well-worn, blonde beard. He's the chieftain of the Haraborn, so he's probably adorned with, various clothing, and he probably has, brass rings in his beard, and yeah.
Well, if you're from the Vale, I'd be very surprised that you don't know who he is, considering I've been led to believe he's your chieftain. but I'll give the description anyway.
What do you want with the chieftain?
I was sent to find him and potentially rescue him, if at all possible.
Do you know if he's alive?
Yes. He was taken prisoner.
Finn is studying in the gloom, studying the features of both Faisal and Varghast as they're having this discussion.
It's difficult. It's dark.
Mm-hmm.
Not pitch black yet, but your brain knows that it's teetering closer and closer to complete darkness. And while that can be fun, it also can be dangerous. Yeah, just from the fact that you could turn an ankle out here.
That's true.
Not seeing a rock. Faisal, you see someone that amongst the group here move a little bit. And there's just the briefest glint of moonlight that shines on their clothing. And it doesn't, there's something about it that does not sit with you.
How many of you are there?
5.
You're kind of like that a person. It's generous.
Well, she draws breath.
For now. Finn says it loud enough for her to hear.
Am I to assume you have a prisoner?
We do.
Interesting.
I like to think of her as more as chattel. Or something to be bartered for our people. But you seem all right. Hey, Laura, we should probably light a fire so that we don't fall and die out here on the path.
We should get off the road if we're going to do that.
We should probably not light a fire so somebody doesn't see us, because the Lunars are still out here.
Well, if we do it right, we find the right spot.
Yeah, Varghast will keep you warm.
Oh, by the way, what was it? Faisal, was it?
Yes.
This is Varghast, son of Gordangar. I'm Finn, son of a bitch. And that's Alara. And that's Lysana. It's nice to meet you.
Way to give up the information, Finn.
Thanks, Finn.
Sorry about your father, Varghast.
I've been saying that all along.
I appreciate that. And you watch your tongue. Let's get off the road. We've been walking a long time.
Mind if I come closer?
Yeah.
Move up.
Is there a cave or anything nearby?
Nope.
Like, or some sort of...
No, so there are groupings of trees out here. And remember, past the Vale and away from the mountains, Sartar is mostly farmland. There are some rolling hills. I akin it mostly to Colorado. So yes, there are small hills. You might be able to find a place where you can, for lack of a better term, hunker down with a few trees as a blind, but caves would be something you'd have to search out.
All right, well, let's not build a big fire, just a little fire.
Just a little fire. It's still spring, isn't it?
It's sea season, so it's early. It's basically like it's the early part of spring.
Yeah, so it's probably chilly. And
yep, you betcha. This is one of those 4-man tent situations where everybody has to sleep like cordwood to keep each other warm.
Finn goes about setting a fire, a small one, begrudgingly, but enough to maybe cook a small, like a game rabbit or something, and
if we had
warm his feet.
If you had one.
If we had one.
That's another thing too, right? So y'all are out here. You just spent most of the day basically climbing to the Royals Grove, B, fighting for your life, and now marching. You are famished and thirsty. Well, you probably have some. You're probably able to pluck water skins from the lunar soldiers. I'll give you that. But yeah, you're not in a great way.
We're probably dirty too, right?
Oh, you especially,
Bloody.
yes.
Yes.
You have dirt all over you.
Can I send our cat out to find a rabbit or something for us?
Absolutely. When the fire gets lit, no one holds back in that regard. Everybody wants that warmth. It is hard to keep it low because at night in the early spring, it's pretty chilly out here. Once it gets bright enough, though, you'll each have an opportunity to sort of visually introduce yourself to Faisal and then vice versa. So please do.
So you see a rather buxom young woman with very long, kind of reddish hair pulled back and kind of long, thick braid that is entwined with a little bit of gold thread that goes down through her back. On her cheeks, under her chin, several spots on her hands. The earth rune is very, very, very clearly defined. The truth rune right under her lips indicates how strong she is and how close she is to speaking and committed to speaking truth. But she is in all ways, everything about her indicates Ernalda and her connection to Ernalda and the earth. The clothes that she wears tend to be of earthen in color. She doesn't necessarily, the skirt spot is split, and she wears simple woven earthen colored pants underneath with light boots that allow her to walk deftly and rather quietly over things. She has a gold, almost like rays of the sun, gold necklace on her, as well as various gold accoutrements through her. But one of the things that stands out is definitely the feathers that she wears, especially around her ears, to kind of holding her hair back a bit. You get the sense that they are in a place of honor and a connection to something very, in particular, very special. So she, at this point, she looks weary and tired and probably a bit older than her young years.
Vargast is enormous. He's probably 7 foot, I think some foot 8 inches, somewhere in there. He's just enormous. He wears leather armor. He has dark brown hair in braids and a dark brown beard. He's young, but he has a seriousness to him. Even more so now that he leads or travels with the last of the Haraborn.
Well, Finn is in the light of the fire. Finn is thinner, more of a swimmer's build rather than a warrior's build. Shorter hair, shaved on the sides, fairly unshaven at this point. Usually blues, dressed in grays and blues, although they're usually muddy and look like they've been soaked at least once during the day. And he has a fairly wry look on his face 90% of the time, unless he's looking at their lunar captive, in which case it's a deep scowl that you can actually see it appear the moment he looks and then disappear the moment he looks away.
Alara is, I don't remember her. I think she's probably like 5'6". I think I tell all my characters they're 5'6" because that's way taller than me. And she's got like auburn reddish hair. It's long. It's in a messy braid. She's got red paint across her face and forehead. She's got blue eyes. She has a tattoo of the earth rune on the side of her neck. She is really dirty at the moment because, well, she's been fighting. She's got probably smoke and like probably some burns all over her, like light burns or whatnot over her body, or ash. Actually, probably more like ash. She wears a cropped leather top, and like it could be like shorts, like a skirt. It's a leather skirt, and you'll notice she's got gold running up and down her legs, tattoos, and the axe that she carries with her has the fire rune on it, and she also carries a crossbow. Her partner in crime is Arcat. He's a gray. He's a shadow cat, and he's gray with some white markings and blue eyes, and he is my pal. And I also wear knee-high leather boots that are laced knee-high leather boots, as you do. And she looks particularly tired and angry at this point.
Okay. And Faisal, if you would.
Mm-hmm. So you see Faisal, who's taken off their helmet at this point. They're tall, but not as tall as Varghast, about 6'5", and have long, dark hair pulled back in a bun, back of their head. Very cheerful-looking green eyes, look like they smile quite a lot. Wearing some kind of tunic under a breastplate and a leather skirt with braces, greaves, a sword belt. They're carrying a broadsword, one-handed broadsword, and they've got a round shield strapped to their back. They've got a round helmet with a nose piece under one arm. And there is a very prominent truth rune on their forehead. It is the only rune on their face, but it is tattooed right in the middle of their forehead. It looks like is that blood maybe that's been caked over it at the moment. And they also have death, water, and air runes tattooed on their arms and up the right side of their neck, and a band of water and truth runes around their left bicep. They're fairly muscular, very strong looking, and also look like they've had a bit of a tiring day, but nowhere near as tired as you lot.
Okay. And then the other person who's here, who's bound, assumably with their hands behind their back.
Yes.
And gagged is a woman who is dressed in some particularly, she dresses in Peloran fashion with a little bit of lunar, well, not even a bit of lunar markings. Certainly, she appears to be a Lunar Priestess, and she looks like she has had we'll just say a tough day. So her head is shaven. It's covered with intricate runic tattoos encircling a moon room at the very top of her skull, because she's been sort of stripped of any armor. You can see that her fingers are intricately painted with these same very similar henna designs. She wears silver rings on every finger, or at least did. Whether the troop has taken those from her, I don't know. She walks with bare feet. She has rings on her toes as well. Of all of the scents that you are picking up, you still smell jasmine on her. She at one point had silver vambraces on. I don't believe they're on her anymore, but I believe that those and the greaves that she wears have probably been taken.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think we took anything that looked like it would be of an advantage to her off of her.
Yeah.
Or any armor, and I think there was like a ring or two that we were concerned about that came off.
Yeah, everything.
I think we stripped just about everything off of her that could have potentially helped her, or that we were concerned about.
Yeah, Faisal, having spent some time, at least in Boldhome, and then having a history which intersects with the, we'll just say some of the lunar intricacies, you would know that by her look, she appears to be a priestess of the Seven Mothers. So that is just something to understand. They have her gagged and bound. That is probably the safest thing right now, because clearly, if given the opportunity, she probably would make trouble. So that's the group, as it were. Arcat comes back after a little while with a rabbit, and then leaves again.
He does his own thing.
Given how well you know Arcat at this point, it's likely that he realizes that there's more cubs to feed. And so one rabbit will not feed 5-6 people. There's not enough meat.
Mike, is there any kind of stream or anything near us when we bed down where we have decided to camp down?
Yeah, sure. Probably a small one.
Okay. I can throw a line into the river and see if I can supplement our cat with a night catch of some sort.
I sling a large bag off my back as I sit down on a log or something by the fire. Start pulling out like bread and some fruit and wine out of the bag.
Ooh. Wine. Well, that will get you warm, certainly.
Well, I like this fellow already. Points at Vargas. See, look at that. They've already endeared themselves to me, and you are still just such a sour grape all the time.
Probably because I have to listen to you talk all the time.
God, it would drive me insane. Finn goes to check the lines.
So, Faisal, why do you seek my father?
We were contracted to find him someone who owes your father a life debt, apparently, and had heard that things were happening in the Vale. Came to the temple and requested that one of us go find him and bring him back if he was alive. So here I am.
And you know he's alive.
I went to the Vale to see what happened and if anyone was alive. I found an old woman. She was blind. I didn't get her name, but before Humacht took her, she told me that Gordengar and someone named Celadon and someone named Draganuth were taken, along with some others.
Morganath lives.
She has gone to Humacht. I could not save her.
Lysana steps away and turns away from the group for a minute and kneels down and puts her hands down into the earth.
We appreciate you bringing us this news.
I'm sorry, it's not better. What was done to your home was unconscionable.
A traitor.
The king?
The king.
And I lean to one side and just sort of spit in the earth.
Finn, you do manage to pull 2 or 3 smaller fish out before a somewhat fat, healthy, we'll just say bottom feeder comes on your line. It's probably not the greatest food as fish go, but the protein is there, and perhaps someone has some spices. You can make something work.
Tastes like shit, but you can live on it.
Basically.
Finn brings the various fishies back to camp and begins going about gutting and cleaning them, breading them for the pan.
I hope somebody has a pan.
No, we're throwing that right on the fire is what we're doing.
That's not my fault. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, people here know how to cook.
Mm-hmm.
I won't make you roll for it, especially Finn, because you've had to gut and clean and cook a lot of fish over the years.
Every night. Whistles a jaunty tune, and as he makes short work of the fish and throws them on the hot rock.
The fish cooks. Our cat comes back with something unexpected. Our cat comes back with what looks like a small boar. It's probably, 15 pounds.
Finn looks at Vargas. I only do fish.
I will do my best.
Since there's boar, he offers up a little bit of the fish to everybody just so they get some of that before we all chow on roast boar.
Are you feeding the Lunar Priestess?
Yes, I am. And here's begrudgingly at first, but Finn has had some time to think about this. If she is emaciated and she dies of starvation under his watch, that is dishonorable. However, if she is healthy and manages to figure out a way to try and escape and then dies in the process, that's an honorable death. And Finn can get away with that. But in order for her to do that, she has to be healthy. So he puts the food down in front of her. I want you to be healthy. You get that?
You see her roll her mouth a little bit under the rope gag to show that she can't really eat gagged.
Finn looks her in the eye. I'm going to take this out so that you can eat. Do not make me regret this, because I know for a fact that you can go for a long, long time before you starve to death. Are we clear?
She nods.
Excellent. He takes the rope gag down out of her mouth. Offers, he'll even feed some to her because she's not getting her hands untied.
She eats and does her best to adjust to the Sardarite choices of spice. It doesn't take her long to seemingly get her energy back. And overhead, you see that the clouds have distanced themselves from the moon. And it's almost like she's waking up. You can see her aura get brighter under the light of the moon.
Finn grabs the rope and puts it against her mouth. Open up.
I'm certain we can come to some agreement.
You say one more word and I will have Varghast put this rope in your mouth. Do you understand what that means?
She begrudgingly accepts the gag.
Tightens it around the back again so that it doesn't come out. Do not make me regret my empathy. He gets up and comes back over to the fire, and big smile on his face. All right, pets are fed. Now it's time for dinner.
I toss one of the fish at Arcat to thank him for his assistance.
Certainly. Our cat is more than happy to eat the fish. The boar takes a little longer to cook, but it is quite good. I wonder if anyone here would like to make a manage household roll to actually cook it correctly.
I do. I got a 43 under 57.
So you take over. That's what you have to do. Varghast helps sort of prepare things a little bit, but after a while, you just have to sort of quarterback this whole thing. It's sort of one of those things where if he's not going to cook it, he needs to get the hell out of the way and just let you do the job. And so you take charge here. And as you work this boar into shape and into how it's going to get roasted over the fire, all of you begin to realize something. Like as Alara stands over this fire and works and gets the spit ready and the boar and starts doing all the things that it's going to take to create this amazing food, the fire is getting hotter and hotter and hotter. Like at some point, you have to back up a little bit from it. She's not adding anything to the fire. The fire's just getting hotter. And then eventually, like, the boar can be spun and cooked. And that's when, like, the smells start coming out and, like, the wonderful aromatics of roasted flesh. And you all get an opportunity to have a completely full stomach. And provided, Faisal has water and wine available, it is a nice way to buoy yourself to sleep. And I'll ask the ultimate traveling question, which is, who is staying awake?
Should we do that in shifts?
I think so. Finn will take first watch.
I'll take second.
I'll take last.
Okay.
I'll watch the dawn come up.
I'll also take second. Because I don't know Faisal and
Fair.
Valid.
So you all sleep in shifts. You're going to get about maybe 4, 5 at most hours of broken sleep. The warmth of the fire is wonderful. The food helps a ton. By the time you're ready to give over your watch, Finn, to both Alara and Faisal, you realize that the Lunar Priestess hasn't moved. She sits motionless, awake, which after about 4 hours is a little unsettling.
Finn, very softly, his whole watch sits within speaking distance of the priestess, and he tells her every fishing story he can think of for the length of his entire watch, without interruption, as if she were still speaking and responding. And that is how Finn copes with her creepiness.
Okay, good. So the same is basically true during Alara and Faisal's watch. The priestess sits mostly motionless, although Faisal, you probably pick up on a few wavers in her posture, or perhaps changes in her breathing. But she is very focused with her chin up at the moon, the red moon, of course, and that glow line, which you can see in the distance.
I don't like this. Whisper to Alara.
I agree. She's up to something. She's crafty. Those Lunar Priestess always are. Where did you come from? I don't think you mentioned.
Johnstown.
Oh, you did. I was half listening because my bow was trained on you in case you were. No, it wasn't.
Completely understandable.
And what temple did you come from?
Umakt.
Umakt. Okay. Oh. Interesting. Well, any additional eyes and ears and hands are appreciated.
That's what I'm here for.
But that being said, I don't know you.
Completely reasonable.
But in time, I might trust you. But you have to prove yourself. But if you harm any of my friends, I will kill you.
Put both my hands up. Don't worry. You're not one of them. Gesture at the Lunar Priestess with the side of my head. Got nothing to fear from me. But I won't be marching at the back of the group for a while. Just so you don't have to worry too much.
That's probably a good idea. I'm gonna make a round of the area just to make sure that everything looks okay. Can you keep an eye on our friend over there?
Happy to.
Thank you. And I get up and
You get up and move around. It feels good to get the blood moving, and even though the fire is warm and welcome, and you're full of wonderful boar meat, it's still good to get up. Our cat doesn't move at all. Our cat stays by the fire, passed out, having done some hard work today. The perimeter check is really like maybe 15 minutes total, depending on how far you want to go out. I won't make you make any rolls. There's nothing out here at this point, but it is good that you're paying attention. During the time that Alara is gone, Faisal, you get looked at a lot. The priestess breaks her gaze with the red moon and looks at you. And it's almost like her eyes are boring into your chest. She's not even looking you in the eye.
Eyes are up here, lady.
She eventually looks you in the eye. And through a somewhat now bloodied rope gag, she smiles.
I don't like that. Can I help you?
You hear her try to vocalize something, but you can't make out what she's saying.
Well, I'm not ungagging her for sure. So it'll just have to be a mystery for a while.
The rest of the evening passes uneventfully. And then the dawn approaches. The dawn of a new day. A wondrous opportunity for everyone to appreciate that they still draw breath. And an opportunity for all of our characters to set their sights on Boldhome, which is where we're going to go next episode. So I want to thank all of my players, old and new, for kicking off this season of Adventures in Dragon Pass on the Old Ways podcast. We are back playing RuneQuest and couldn't be happier, and the fun is about to begin. Thank you, and have a good night.